Well, hello and welcome to Wise Wednesdays with Melanie Morrison. My friend Tracy wasn't able to make it in today. She may pop in later, I'm not quite sure. But I still wanted to continue the discussion regarding post-trauma self-love. So this is being done on StreamYard. So if you're new to StreamYard, feel free to click on the StreamYard link, and then Facebook will allow you to join the discussion through StreamYard. So Facebook's a little thing, I don't know why they do that, but I'm excited to be here today, and I'm really excited to be talking about self-love during like the month of love, because I feel like Valentine's Day is a lot about like romance and that love between two partners, but I like to kind of expand that. So it also involves, Galentine's Day and self-love. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. And then after we chat up a little bit around some self-love stuff, I'll draw a few cards near the end. So stay tuned, and I'll pull some cards for you. So say hello. Let me know that you can hear me okay. And just come on in and connect. So I got on the subject of self-love because I was actually pulled into a book. So it's 365 Days of Self-Love. It's coming out this upcoming year. But I went to write, it's a compilation book, so you have several authors writing about it. And I went to write this piece on self-love, and I was like, hold up, wait a minute. I kind of need to do this before I can write on it. So I actually am really glad that I had that task, because I found that when I started to write about self-love, I realized how much, kind of because of what was going on and just the stress of this year, how much I wasn't caring for myself. And when I realized that, I went through a process, and I'd like to kind of talk about that process today. So I think one of the big part of the process for me was like this sense of guilt that I should have been taking care of myself. I should have been doing this. I remember at one point I had a counselor, and she would say, Melanie, don't should all over yourself. So I was shitting all over myself. I should have been taking care of myself. I should have been doing this, or should have been doing that. And I think the key for me to get to self-love was really to just stop and say, I forgive myself for not doing all of the things that I know. And I think that's the hard part for me, because I have this huge toolbox of, tactics and healing and self-care. Like, that's kind of the field I'm in. And so sometimes when I find that I'm, have been quite some time without using them, I start this domino effect of, why didn't I do it? And like beating myself up for not doing what I know kind of, keeps me in good shape with my positivity and, just taking care of myself. So I think for me, a big step was letting go of all of the things that I hadn't already done. I know, like, we talk a lot about like vibe up or think positive, or do something positive to raise your vibration, and I think that's really important. But when we're talking about like post-trauma self-love, I think it's important to realize that we all operate on different levels of vibrations. So for instance, we have a base vibration, and when we've gone through trauma, it's not uncommon for our base level of like our positive feeling and thinking to drop down a base level. So, and when that happens, you can't expect to go automatically to the highest level. If you meet someone, the good examples, like if you meet someone and like, they're just so upbeat and so positive, and you've been going through a really hard time, you can almost start to kind of get annoyed. But then if you were already going to, already happy, it might lift your spirit up. it might make you feel better. So it's just remembering that it's going to be steps, that you're not going to go from A to Z immediately. And you really want to start with those connections with high vibrations that aren't too loud to the point where they make you go backwards. So I hope that makes sense. I'd love to chat more about it. Let me know. I'd love to hear in like comments, whenever you watch this, whether it's like now or later, just like, have you had that experience? Like, have you ever kind of been so low that even when someone was or something was supposed to lift your spirits, it just didn't, because it was like too high of a vibration for you to connect with? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And then I just wanted to say like one more thing about post trauma. And I think it's just really important that, with the point of like forgiving yourself, that you forgive yourself for whatever participation that you had in that. So it's like if it was a toxic relationship and you continued it for a long amount of time, or if you participated in like doing these toxic things, taking the time to say, okay, I forgive myself for whatever participation I had in this toxic relationship or this toxic situation. And then that is one of the first steps to then being able to step into that healing process. But like I said, you can't go from point A to C. You want to first forgive yourself for whatever participation you had in that. And then, perhaps like if you had any participation in like self-sabotage, a lot of times people, when, they're not doing something healthy to help themselves, sometimes they can end up turning to unhealthy things. And so forgive yourself for whatever you survived the situation, however you survived the situation, and just let go of like that feeling of needing to judge yourself for not doing it the most healthy way right away. So yes. And then, you can kind of thank that method. Thank you for helping me in that moment. That doesn't help me anymore. I'm going to do now this other healthy thing that's going to help me through this situation. So, and then, yeah, I think after that, the big key, especially when you're talking about like a toxic relationship or a toxic situation, is setting boundaries. So like, I feel like we talk about self-love and then it's like a step too soon when we haven't set boundaries. So if we don't set boundaries for, okay, this time is mine no matter what, I'm going to make sure that it works, I'm going to set this time for me aside. If we don't first create the boundary, there can just be this immediate wall of defeat where we just say, oh, I just don't have time for myself, or I can't get away to do this or that. And then we never go to that first step of doing whatever it is that we know our soul needs to heal or to grow. So yeah, creating boundaries. And I think that's also with creating boundaries with our daily life. Like, when you're around certain people, it's okay to say, what, I think those are all important things to talk about, but right now, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Like, I don't, there's so much negativity going on right now. It's okay to say, hey, like, yeah, this sucks, but I kind of need a break from talking about it. So that's setting a boundary. And then also I think for some people that have been involved in such extreme toxic relationships, it's a personal decision, but you may have to make the choice to say, okay, well, I may not want these people in my life anymore at all. Or, I'm not sure if I want these people in my life and I'm going to need to take some time away so that I can decide. And so, yeah, those are just little steps before we can get to that next step of healing. And then once we get to those steps of healing, we can start to think and talk about little things that can lift our vibe. But expecting that we would go and do an immediate, like, oh, I'm just going to be happy about this, even though I haven't healed my trauma. That's kind of what people talk about spiritual bypass. And I feel like it's just a cover, and it's only a temporary fix. So just something to think about. So because we're in the month of love, I'm going to pull some cards around love. I love this deck. It's just ooh, that was a good one. I deserve love. It's actually an affirmation deck. So I'm going to pull a card from this deck for you today. And then I'm also going to pull a card from this deck. I love it because it's like super big, and it's from Belinda Grace. And I just think that her work is very unique. So if you want to comment, I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple cards. Hang on just a minute. Let me find that banner. There we go. So I'm going to pull 4 cards for you guys today. So feel free to hop in, say what card you're pulling, you're choosing for yourself, and feel free to chat with me if you want some clarification or if you want to just dive a little bit deeper into the card. Let's do that now. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to do quickly, if you don't mind, just really quickly see if I can share this with one of my groups. One of my favorite groups is Cosmic Vibes, and I love to connect with them because they're just so caring and authentic. And so if you're on Cosmic Vibes, give me a shout out. I'm going to go ahead and share this live with my peeps in Cosmic Vibes. So just give me a second, if you don't mind. Oh my, thanks for your patience. Okay, there it is, okay. So normally I have a guest and I get to do this stuff kind of behind the scenes. But today it's just moi. Okay. All right. So I've posted it there. Yay. And then there we go. Thanks for your patience. Maybe I can edit that out later for a different part of this. Alrighty, so I'm drawing the 4 cards. I'm gonna start with this one, this deck here. This is by Louise Hay, and it is about love. So I'm going to draw card number 1. So if you're feeling like card number 1, or if you're just popping on now, you can say that this one is for you. All right, so this says, this is a day of completion. Oh, wait, what? Completion, yeah, this is a day of completion. I know and affirm, here we go. I know and affirm that I am one with the infinite power. Everything in my life falls into place easily and effortlessly. This is a day of completion. How interesting. I know and affirm that I am one with the infinite power. That is so cool. I actually haven't pulled that one, so it's kind of fun. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pull one from this one, which is a little bit more fun because it's doesn't have as many words, and so we get to kind of just read into the energy of the card, which is, I think, really fun for me. What I mean by that is, so you're going to kind of connect with what I do when I'm pulling cards. I connect with my intuition, kind of just say a loving prayer or set an intention. Then I pull the card. Oh, wow, that's powerful. So card number 2 is reparenting yourself, and just go ahead and take time to look into that. I like to, like what I was explaining, is I like to really just kind of look at the card and absorb the image. And as I'm absorbing the image, really looking at like, what is catching my attention? Because if something particularly is catching my attention, it's going to have an extra message for me. So for card number 2, and if you're just popping on now, likely this would be valid to you, reparenting yourself. Yeah. So you can, just a little trick, and I don't know if I heard this somewhere. I think it was probably a video of some sort, but I decided to try it and I thought it was quite helpful. Is you just, I start off with the reparenting thing. I start off with like thinking of time as being, rather than it being linear, like that it's happening all at once. So there's a piece of science that just says that, time, it happens all at once, even though we experience future, present, and past, that it happens all at once. And so I connect with that thought and idea, and then I just take some time to remember myself as a child. So really feel into who I was and how a day felt to me, maybe just catch some memories. And then what I do is I take and I meet myself there. So I take my current self, which is a loving mother, which is everything, that a child would want. And I go to the memory of me and I envision just hugging myself with love. And so with that little like visualization, there can just be so much healing in just that moment. So that's just something you can try, maybe. I think it's a great tool. I think it's very powerful. It does seem a little different. You have to be willing to think outside the box. All right, so for the next card, for card number 3, I'm going to pull from this fairy deck. I love my fairy deck. Also love everything that's happening in nature right now, so I think it's a great time to pull from the fairy deck. Happily ever after. Basically, a card just letting you know that if you're really having a lot of worries right now, card number 3, things are looking up. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is, we have that ebb and flow of feeling like life is so hard, and then, then feeling like it's such bliss. It's just a natural movement of life. This is, if things are low for you, just letting you know for card number 3 that things are getting better. You will have your moment of happily ever after come. Just hang in there. Okay. All right. Wow. Some good stuff. All right. And for card number 4, I'm going to pull from the same deck. Ooh, miracle healing. I really like that one. So I kind of see like, it's so interesting. It kind of looks like she's reaching for a bubble. It also looks like the earth, like if you see it closer. And just the message for card number 4, which is our final card, is that you are healing, that miracles do happen. Just have faith and trust. Also, I feel like she's reaching for a bubble, like she wants to heal someone else, So if there's someone that you're praying for, know that they are surrounded with love and healing right now. So, and then also, if you're feeling like this, you have the earth, if you're feeling like this frustration with like the world experience with your world right now, know that we can send healing to the world and that there is hope for humanity. So that was card number 4. Hey, Emily, thanks so much for popping on. Emily says, I'd love a card. Emily, I did the cards. I'm sorry, you caught me on the last one, but I did the cards 1 through 4. I'll be back on Wednesday. I do this every Wednesday at this time. And so for me, it's Mountain Standard Time. It's 1 o'clock. So, and then what I do is I have whoever's watching show like connect with what card they feel like is best for them. Card 1, card 2, card 3, and card 4, if I'm doing 4 cards. But that way you get a chance to really connect with your intuition. And then we can chat about it and go dive deeper afterwards. But thank you so much for popping in, Emily, and everyone that's able to catch the replay too. Sending you all big love, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of your day.